Hi Queens, Sam here. I hope you're doing good and that you have been having an amazing summer. I have to say that probably we're having our last sunny days here in Ottawa, Canada. So it's been great to have, long sunny days, and I've been trying to get out there to really soak in the sunshine as much as possible. In today's video, I want to share with you 3 savings accounts that I think are really important to have in your toolbox when it comes to building wealth. And I'm talking about the high interest savings account, or the HISA, the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, or RRSP, and the TFSA, the tax-free savings account. So I'm going to start with the high interest savings account. That, I'll say, it's more for short-term needs. Probably that's where you will be putting your emergency funds. So essentially 3 to 6 months of living expenses, maybe 12 months if you want to be conservative. I'll suggest not to put too much money in your high interest savings account, because at the end of the day, right now the rates are not that high for that account. Even if we say high interest savings account, it's just to say that you're probably getting more than 0% that you get in your checking account. But right now, most financial institutions are offering maybe 1.2, 1.3, at most 1.5%. So you need to do your homework and see, which financial institution you want to go with. But like I said, not that much of interest. And as we know, inflation is at all-time high right now. I think nearing 7 or 8% last time that I checked. So if you put too much money in your high interest savings account, really you are losing long term, because inflation is going to be reducing your purchasing power. However, like I said, it's good to have it for short-term needs, because unexpected events, emergency, you don't want to have to use your credit card and not have a backup plan on how to pay your balance at the end of the month. So it's important to have it for short-term needs. Then the next one is the Registered Retirement Savings Plan, that we call the RRSP, has been in place since 1991. And the way it is determined is 18% of your earned income plus any unused contribution that you have from the past years. Then you can contribute that in your RRSP. It's usually, it will give you a tax break. So all of your contribution to your RRSP is tax deductible. And then when you withdraw the money, ideally when you retire, then you pay taxes on it. The idea behind the RRSP is that you contribute during your working years. So usually when you are your highest in terms of tax range, and then you will withdraw probably when you retire in your 60s and 70s, where probably your income is lower, and then you don't pay that much taxes. So you do save on how much taxes you will be paying on that money. So that's the idea behind it. That's why it's a long-term plan. That's why they call it also the retirement plan. One thing to keep in mind for the RRSP is that if you're working for an employer and you have a retirement plan through that employer, how much you contributed to that retirement plan will reduce your own contribution room, and it usually refers to as the pension adjustment. And you'll get a tax slip from your employer to tell you how much it is, and you have to input that when you do your taxes. So that may reduce how much that you personally you can put in your own RRSP. So something to keep in mind. For the RRSP, if you don't use your contribution for a certain year, it will roll over to the next year. So you have that possibility that maybe for 1 year you will be tight, you cannot contribute to your RRSP. Well, you don't lose that contribution room. It will just get transferred to the next year, and it never expires. So that's amazing, because it is there for you to use when you are actually ready to use it. You have to be careful. If you over contribute to your RRSP, you will have to pay a penalty. So the Canadian Revenue Agency, or CRA, will allow you to over contribute by just $2,000. But if you go over that $2,000, that buffer that they give you, then you have to pay 1% penalty monthly until you bring it to within the contribution. So keep that in mind. It is supposed to help you save taxes, so you don't want to have to pay any penalty that might reduce the advantage of using the account. Then the third account is the TFSA, or tax-free savings account. That started in 2009. You do not have to work to be able to contribute to your TFSA. You only need to be 18 years, minimum 18 years, and have a valid social insurance number. What is great with the tax-free savings account is that though you don't have any tax break with the money that you put in your tax-free savings account, the withdrawal that you're going to be doing from your tax-free savings account, that one is tax-free because you have been already taxed on the money that you put in. So let's say if you put $5,000 a particular year, that will be your $5,000 from your net income because you have to pay tax on it. And then within a few years, that $5,000 becomes $10,000. Well, that whole $10,000 belongs to you. So if you decide to withdraw the whole $10,000 or portion of it, you do not have to pay tax on it. So that's really the beauty of the tax-free savings account. Also, the TFSA can be used for medium or long term, ideally for long term, because you want to let the money that is in there, ideally in an investment account, grow as much as possible, and all that growth belong to you. Similarly to the RRSP, if you don't use your contribution for a certain year, then it gets transferred to the next year, so you do not lose that contribution. It never expires. And the beauty of the TFSA is, like, even if you were to withdraw from your TFSA a particular year, let's say you withdraw 10,000, that 10,000 will be added to your contribution room for the following year. So if you have more money the following year, you can put that money back in your TFSA. And that you don't have it with the RRSP. The RRSP, if you withdraw the money from it, because you did not pay tax the first time you put the money in the account, you will have to pay tax when you withdraw the money. And you do not have that contribution room back. Once you withdraw the money, then it's over. You do not have it back. So that's why I really suggest to people to not take money from the RRSP. If really they have to take money from an account, maybe think about the TFSA first and not the RRSP. However, there are some exceptions to that the CRA gives you if you want to use the money to buy a house or for education. Those will probably when you will think of taking the money from the RRSP, because there is a way for you to take that money and not have to pay taxes for a certain time, and you can pay the money back. But they really do that for certain circumstances, again, maybe to buy a house or for education. So usually, question that I get from people the most is, which account, especially between the TFSA and the RRSP, that they should be putting money into, or should they be putting money into both of them? I tell people it's based on your personal circumstances. Ideally, if you can, you should be taking advantage of both accounts, because both of them are amazing and they each serve a certain purpose. So if you are able to put the money in both, really max out both accounts, that will be in your interest. However, if you need to choose, again, it's really based on your personal circumstances. I'll give you a scenario. If you take a student from 18 to 21, that person was at the university, they were not working, getting a bachelor. They don't have any room for RRSP because they were not working. However, they do have the room for the TFSA, whichever it was. Let's say $5,000 each year. So over 3 years, they already have a $15,000 contribution room for the TFSA when they start working. So when they start working, they have the option of putting the money in the RRSP or the TFSA. Usually when we start working after university, that's probably not the time we're making the highest salary. So maybe we don't have to pay that much taxes. And similarly, maybe having a tax break is not really something that is that important to us. So maybe at that time you want to prioritize your TFSA. And the other thing, when you also finish as a student, usually you have your student fees that you can use to reduce your income and make it so that you don't really have to pay taxes. So though you'll have an RRSP contribution room that you will create, maybe you don't want to contribute to your RRSP right away, and because you're going to keep that contribution room for the following year, then maybe you want to start contributing to your TFSA at that time. So it's really something that you'll have to evaluate each year and see what works the best for you. And I tell people those 3 accounts are very important tools, again, in your toolbox when it comes to building wealth. If you can put money, definitely emergency fund, that's something that is really crucial to have in place, because you don't want to be taken off track each time that there is any emergency. And then the TFSA and the RRSP, they have been implemented to really help us build wealth, so we need to take advantage of those 2 accounts. So Now you have to tell me which accounts you already have in place, which one you find the most confusing. Any question that you have on those three accounts, let me know in the comments below. And if this video was of any value to you, don't forget to like, to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, do share with your network so people can know more about this account. And until next time, keep on building wealth.